So why is it called Judaism? Christianity is obviously named for Christ, Buddhism for Buddha. Judaism, less obviously, is named for Judah, which raises the question, wait, who? Abraham is often called the first Jew, a misnomer, as the term Jew is years away, but more on that in a bit. The Bible tells how his grandson Jacob had 12 sons. One of them, not even the most famous one, was Judah, who became the namesake for the tribe, the region, and, over time, the religion. So why name a religion after this guy? For that, you need a little bit of context. The Bible is the main source we have for most of this, so we're not 100% sure what actually happened 3,000 years ago. According to the Bible, at the beginning of the Iron Age, so 10th century BCE, there were 12 tribes, each named after one of these 12 brothers, each with their own swath of land. The tribes joined forces into one kingdom, kind of like how in America we went from 13 colonies with a loose central government to the United States with a strong federal government. Like America, the kingdom had a civil war about 100 years later. Unlike America, the Civil War permanently split the area into two kingdoms, the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah. Around 721 BCE, the Assyrians, a giant world power at the time, conquered nearly all of the Middle East, including the northern kingdom of Israel. The people who lived in Israel are lost to history, often referred to as the 10 lost tribes. With the northern kingdom gone, the southern kingdom of Judah stood alone, having survived because it paid tribute to the Assyrians. The Bible says they also defeated the Assyrians in battle. Other documents say otherwise. Either way, what's important is they survived. There's a lot that's historically unclear when so many of the facts come from 3,000-year-old stone slabs. Take the Merneptah stele. It's one of the only places from that time outside of the Bible that mentions Israel. Or does it? It's written in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, so no one's 100% sure. And when even the words are debated, how can anyone know what actually happened back then? The fact that we know anything is remarkable. Imagine someone in the year 5000 discovering the Stanley Cup, seeing a reference to the Red Wings, and using that and basically that alone to prove that Michigan exists. That's pretty close to how this works. So Judaism is named after the kingdom of Judah, the kingdom that survived, and not just through this one defeat by the Assyrians, but through an endless string. After the kingdom of Israel was destroyed, the Judeans only lasted a century before the Babylonians came through, exiled them, and destroyed the first temple. Now, the temple was so central that it was unclear if the Judeans would continue now that the temple was gone. Babylonian side note, just over 1,000 years old at this point, this was the height of their power. Assyrians had fallen to infighting and rebellion in the last 100 years, giving the Babylonians the chance to take over. But it was short-lived. Less than 50 years after the Babylonians took over, Persia took over the land. The Persians were new to the world stage, and this conquest kicked off a long, long reign. The Persian king, Cyrus the Great, allowed the Judeans to return and to build a second temple, and that temple stood for 600 years. During those 600 years of the temple, the name Judeans stuck. What started out as a label for people from a specific region eventually turned into a label for people living all over, with a set of beliefs and ritual practices. By the time the Romans destroyed the Second Temple and exiled the Judeans again, 70 CE, even though there was no longer a kingdom of Judea in one solid place, the name Judaism, those formerly from the kingdom of Judah, was there for good. And through the ages, it went from the biblical Yehudi to the Greek to the Latin to the Old French, and finally to the term Jew and Judaism we have today. So, short answer, it's named after Judah, the brother, but more so, it's named after the kingdom that survived and created the foundation for the religion we have today. For more videos about Judaism and about Jewish history, subscribe to Bim Bam. There's a lot more to come.